Shall we? No, so now it doesn't work because there's too much of a pause. I liked your bit
Roll
at the end.
patrol trailer.
Yeah.
Well, by popular demand, we are back for the second Brick by Brick podcast. We've got Jason from Kiwi Brick Exchange. I'm pointing in the direction that I am seeing them. God knows if this is right. Noah from the ever increasingly large locked count BrickShed, and myself, Richie, from the Yellow Brick Road, all the way over in the land of Oz. You see what I did there? Anyway, we're back after a successful first podcast. We're going to be answering a lot of the questions, actually, that were asked by you, the viewers. So if you asked a question, stay tuned. We're going to cover off things like advertising, tips that have saved us time, resolving customer satisfaction issues, our kind of individual experiences, and everything in between, including an update on the tires very shortly. But other than that, it's the usual format. We're just going to talk and you can sit back and enjoy. And if you have questions for the next podcast, leave them down below and we will do our best to answer them, especially if they're controversial or offensive.
Yeah, no, my tires have not been selling as expected. Even though I got that one comment from Adam. Adam, you still haven't bought. You bought the wrong tires. You bought something else.
I feel like there's 2 comments. I saw a number of
there?
people in the comments who are very interested in your tires.
Because everyone's so interested in them.
Yeah. So what is the update? They're all still there?
Yes, as far as I'm aware, doesn't look like they're right up there. There you go. Still very full. Please come and buy them. They are not expensive, and if you take them all, we can work something out. Just maybe I won't charge you the hundreds of dollars it will cost to ship those things because it's going to be so heavy. I might need to ship it Aramex, but you know how we feel about them.
I went to collect a parcel for Aramex yesterday, right, from the most random pharmacy I've ever been into in my life, right? There was a queue of people waiting for blood thinners and various medications, and they were just talking about death. And the girl behind the counter couldn't scan the barcode on the box. She tried 7 times to scan it, covering up with her hand, trying to scan the QR code. It's like, just keying a number in and save us all a life. I'm going to die here.
Yeah, along with everyone else waiting in line.
Yeah, it was a surreal. Anyway, Aramex, weird, eh?
Yeah.
But yeah, there was more than one person that was interested in the tires. So,
well, please, they're still here. So I'm waiting on your order.
It's disappointing, isn't it? Because I thought they'd be gone.
You'd think, I mean, with all the popularity of us and, you know, how widespread our content goes.
Oh, we went viral on the first one, clearly.
Extremely. But please, those who are watching, they are still available. You can still buy them, and I will still have them for some time. So come get your fill.
Maybe you need to start featuring them in vlogs.
I've got a great idea as well. Why don't you just, we talk about satisfying customers and good customer experience. What about just adding 1 per order as like a thank you? Thank you for ordering from the BrickShed. Here's a free tire. And you never know. They may want a second. They may want to build.
Yeah.
So that's how you get rid of your tires.
I'd probably still be in the business in 10 years and I'd still be giving them away.
There you go. Free gifts.
Maybe that's
free gift for you.
Okay, well, for those who are interested in a free tire for every order, you can leave a comment in your order and I will happily include a tire.
Free tires.
Yeah,
it's like those adverts on TV: buy 3 get the 4th one free. Yeah, yep. Continental. You can Geelong or whatever tires. You can have your own little gaff. Overalls, be brilliant. Okay, so since we were last recording,
Mm.
everyone's been super busy.
Extremely.
We have.
I think everybody's increased their store.
Yes.
By a lot. All of us. It's very good.
Yeah,
That's
quite impressive.
the right direction. You know, we're not in the business of hoarding things, but still the collection grows. I saw a couple of comments recently on some, was it? I think it was my most recent video. They said, am I in the wrong here thinking that having this many lots is bad because the aim of the game is to sell it all? I'm like, yeah, but you know, like I just didn't respond because it just wasn't worth it getting into that argument. But yeah, so some people think that having all of this Lego is against the point, but sales are still good, so that's the main thing, right?
That's
Yeah, as
all
long
that
as
matters.
But yes, we have all been busy. Jason?
Yes. Yes. I've taken over the room.
Clearly, yeah.
The wife and the wee one are away.
Do they know about it yet?
Define know about it. Well, like, no, there's Lego in the room. I've said I'm just putting the bed up against the wall for a little bit.
Yeah.
Just putting a table out.
You can't get through the front door anymore.
Just planning on buying about 6 to 8 organizers this week. Yeah, we'll be fine. The wee one's quite happy because I've got all my 3D print stuff because I've got that as well for 6 weeks, and that's currently sitting in the wee one's room, and she's quite happy with it. She said, "That's okay, Dad. You're allowed to put that in there." So I'm glad that I've got permission from at least one half of the females that live in my household. The other one, we'll find out. If she ends up watching this, she'll find out probably.
Surprise!
It's a win-win, really. Either I keep it as it is, or my wife starts listening to our podcast. So the things we do.
I did see, and I screen grabbed it. I'm not sure which store it was. It might have been Haybricks. Has a carousel with her units on it. So it's like a
I saw that.
It's like a wooden, like a wardrobe, really. But
yeah,
it's kind of obviously you can turn it around. Which I obviously had the white shelves with the wheels on it way back when. So a similar idea. So it's good to see that other people have got the same problems.
That's the one thing that we always have is the storage and space. And yeah, it's funny listening to and talking through a few things this week. It's people saying, "Oh, just go higher," and they don't realize I'm quite short. Or just go lower, and then you've got a knee issue. There's like a certain height I can hit on sort of. It's about between here, and then just build some stuff. No, we're renting, so that doesn't quite work either. So the plan is basically to try and get big enough that the space is being utilized, but not big enough that I get told off. And then when it is too big, then we find somewhere else to go. But as anyone who's watched my videos from the start, I took over the lounge and then, was pushed into a room. So the plan is to just take over the room. Watch this space and but no, that's basically what I've been doing the last week, taking over stuff. We had a market last Sunday before, which went fairly well. Like the amount of business cards that I handed out with people going, "What's BrickLink?" But I like Lego. Still amazes me that. I build my own stuff. It's like, how? Oh, I'll just make it up. Okay, cool, that's fine. But just no idea that you could buy parts and minifigures and so that was good. So $20 for free advertising. Well, $20 advertising, and then getting sales is what we're all about. How about you, Noah? Besides the tires.
Very busy. Well, yesterday we bought a store and it's all on the inventory and it's all been set up. It was a long day and it still is a long day. I haven't signed off the special weekend vlog. I've done a special video for it because we want to play into that clickbait of buying a BrickLink store, of course. And I wanted to get 2 videos out of it. So the last week's vlog is preparing to buy a BrickLink store all the way up until I actually buy it, and then this vlog will be actually buying it. But holy bloody crap, there's a lot of Lego here, and we're finding a similar problem to you now. Jason. We're like, well, I'm going to have to go up or down because we're pretty full. I don't know where else we're going to go. We're talking about just putting a shelf in the middle of the room because there's no more space. But we are now over 500,000 pieces. So catching up to Richie, that's where I want to be at. I just want to get to there. And we are over 30,000 consolidated lots as well. So my hope is by the end of tonight, I'm number one in Australia by lot count. That's the goal. I don't know if we'll get there, but
How many is that going to need?
I need 200 more lots. I got 250 kilos of bulk with the store. So as I'm processing it to just put it into containers to send it out to sorting, I'm just grabbing any unique parts that are off the top. Usually I wouldn't do that because I don't see the point. It's going to come back to me anyway, and my time can be spent elsewhere. But just to reach that goal, I'm just pulling out parts. So I've got parts aplenty here, and there was some really good stuff in there. There was a whole Queen Anne's Revenge in there, a couple of other pirate ships, lots of trains, found lots of power functions, tons of really, really killer stuff. Not many figures, I knew that, but still, I ended up actually found a bag of figures in there, tucked into the side. The best thing I found so far, though, is this sticker sheet, which is for the buildable SpongeBob, which there's only 2 available in the world. There's no data on last 6 months, and the 2 available in the world are $100 a piece. So
nice.
I'm pretty happy with that.
All the same. I was gonna say, what was the size of the actual store?
The store wasn't too big. 60,000 pieces and 8,000 lots.
Right.
I say, how big is your store, Jason? Sorry.
115,000 at the moment, but we're
Okay.
at almost 11,000 lots. So
Okay, yeah.
a little bit more than that.
So, yeah, it's more the space that the physical the store takes up. It was how many units? Like 30 more drawer units that were full, that I've had to fit somewhere in there. You've seen the picture. But where my bulk all used to be, which is I'm just not sure where any of that's going to go, has been filled with drawer units, and I've put another. I did an emergency Bunnings trip last night to go buy another shelf because I didn't have enough space. Plus, we still haven't gotten it all. There's still stuff left in Ararat that I'll go pick up in a month or so, which is just empty drawer units, and there's another. I counted them. There's 30 more drawer units, empty ones. That I actually need because I know where my next expansion is going to be, and I'm going to need it soon because I have 250 kilos of bulk to upload now. So, but yeah, we are smashing those goals, and I just want to be number one. That's all. That's for lot count, and as soon as we're there, then the job is maintaining it. But I think I've got a good head start on Tanya from Sydney Brick Emporium and Pretty Bricks, so they'll have some work to catch up. I think I'm 2,000 lots ahead of any of those guys. So
that's hard work.
Yeah. So they've got their work cut out for them to catch up. I have to get in front of the Brick Womble, but Clinton over there is taking a year off, so I'll be good. I'll be easy, and then it's working on the item count, and catching up to Richie. So, moving on. We're at experience. We had a question from one of the viewers of the podcast last week. Reach out about our experience with best ways to advertise our store. Through magazine ads, YouTube videos, social media, Instagram posts, all that. How do we all do it? What all works for us?
It was interesting, like when that question went, and I thought the first thing is you don't actually have to, as well, do any of that. And I think that's the thing that some people think that they're getting into the, this bricklink business, and oh no, I'm new and how I'm going to do it. Well, the best way is to upload parts. But in saying that, there are lots of other things that you can do to just get yourself out there because, and as we found pretty early on, in fact, to my brick linking, I think within 3 months, we had old Brickpocalypse where the website went down and there was no way for people to get anything. And so it's going, are you solely reliant, which it seems like a number of sellers are, on Bricklink? And what if things aren't working? What if the website crashes? What if this happens? What's your backup? And like, I know you guys have done maybe things in the past with it, but we sell obviously Brickowl and Bricklink. Very, very low sales in Brickowl until this month when I was whinging about it, the previous month. So the more you whinge about Brickowl, the more sales you get. That's definitely proven. But, those sort of things, having that variety is actually what you're going to need to do anyway, because, so having some type of presence on social media, even if you're not posting regularly, at least, there's a backup for someone to go visit your store. But yeah, to answer the question, I guess what we're mainly doing is markets, people telling friends. I had a great situation where my sister was talking with a friend of hers, and the friend mentioned that she liked Lego. And then the friend said, yeah, I watched this Lego YouTuber. And she went, oh. She's like, yeah, he's based in Wellington and does like this Bricklink stuff. And she went, is he bald? And the friend said, yeah. And my sister had that sudden realization that she was talking about me. And I was like, yeah, made it. So there you go. You don't know how far the word gets spread and how many people, are watching or doing stuff. So it's whatever works. I mean, like, we all seem to enjoy doing YouTube videos, but, magazines or I don't know, whatever, local Lego groups, I think is probably the main one, getting your name out there and offering some type of promo at some point, I think is a good way of getting your name out.
Obviously, I have done advertising in Blocks magazine, which is actually cheaper than subscribing. Go figure that.
And you get a free magazine as well. So.
Yeah, it's cheaper. It's cheaper than subscribing because it's a generally UK publication in a hard copy, whilst it's digitally distributed. It is cheaper to buy an ad than subscribe. Hot tip. But I think someone commented on a video of mine recently about how, why bother with Brickowl because it's only 3 to 4% of sales, which I didn't actually have the breakdown at the time, and I was thinking it doesn't sound right to me. So, I'll do like a nice stat. And whilst it was very up and down to begin with, probably the first year, since running the advert, it has been consistently high 20s into the low 30s%.
Yep.
So that could just be the store's grown and more interest and stuff like that. But I do think some awareness, whether it's kind of being a celebrity like Jason, having only bricks like Noah does, or kind of doing the vlogs or whatever it is, being part of the community as well, does help advertise. Yes, some people are probably well aware of Bricklink and whatnot, but the amount of sales from WA has gone from being very, very small at the beginning to being, challenging New South Wales and Victoria on a month-to-month basis, which is pretty incredible, really, for, the population is nowhere near the scale that is on the East Coast compared to the West Coast. But I guess that's locality, awareness, commenting in Facebook groups and things like that just all helps get your name out there.
I think that the fact that we have the one thing in common, which is YouTube and our vlogs and stuff, and it creates a sort of authenticity to our store when people can put a face to the store. And I think that a lot of those people probably would have ordered from our stores respectively either way, but it either helps push that sale to go through from just sitting in a cart to actually being completed, as well as maybe adding a few extra things on top just because either they want to support you or they know how you do certain things and they know that the parts that they're going to buy off you are what they want, versus when you order from somebody random on Bricklink who could be anybody in the bloody world. You could get anything. You could get, a couple of parts thrown into a padded mailer and shipped out to you, and they're all in terrible condition. So, putting a face to a name is, I think it's quite valuable. On the topic of breakdown of sales, Brickhouse has always been 20 to 30% for sales wise. eBay is sitting at 10% ish for sales, which is it's all right. Nothing crazy. Right. It's paying the bills, I suppose. It's 10% that I didn't have without eBay. And then I'm trying to take it a step forward, and I'm totally going off that line from you, Jason, where when Bricklink went down, scared the hell out of us, because Bricklink is, a considerable amount of our sales, 60 to 70%. And if without Bricklink, we can't. I can't. I have to go get a job, and I don't want to get another job. No way. This is too fun. Also, I'm just lazy. So when that happened, we moved to the process of like, okay, we need to open up our own Shopify store ASAP. Still hasn't happened, but we're in the late stages of development. We're just doing the final. We're just creating the actual. We've got all the back end done, and it's just how it's going to look now. All the products are in there. We're going to sell parts as well. It's going to be parts, and we thought about, because Brickowl offers that unique thing where you can put your own name in the domain and adjust their the what do you call it? Not masthead, it's the banner or whatever to get rid of BrickOwl's branding, and you can push people. It can be the BrickShed, .com, or not the BrickShed.com, but whatever it is, and it takes you to a BrickOwl style store where it still checks you out through BrickOwl, but the customer doesn't know that. They just think that they're buying through your store. So if you look into it, because it is an interesting thing, especially if you don't want to develop a whole website. I just don't like it because it still is the BrickOwl format, the way that they sort their parts and stuff. And I don't know about you guys, but personally, I don't like shopping on BrickOwl at all. It's just not visually pleasing, and it doesn't make much sense to me.
No.
But people do. I mean, clearly we're getting 30 to 40% of our sales are coming through there. So we want to put all of our parts onto a Shopify store, and that's just to open our customer base to more people who don't know what Bricklink is and don't want to know what Bricklink is. I've introduced a lot of people to Bricklink, and they're like, oh yeah, this is great, but way too confusing, and I'm not that into Lego. I love Lego, but I'd rather just hop onto lego.com and order the piece that I need that I'm missing from my set. Or my son wants 10 tires. So the Shopify website will be run differently to Bricklink, and we'll be pushing parts that are probably really cheap on Bricklink, like tires and car type parts, and like trees and whatever. I'm with playing around with ideas and stuff, but things that the mums will buy for their kids, kind of thing, rather than collectors. It's a whole other audience, and it's also just to bring in more sales that are not on Bricklink, because Bricklink doesn't do everything. And as we can see, Bricklink is not perfect with their IT, and sometimes disappears for a bit without any notice, without any communication. Just a little message, just a little message saying, sorry, back soon.
Which they won't.
No. But we do, YouTube, Instagram is always great. And the greatest thing of all markets, people now coming up to us in person and recognizing me from the vlogs, which is just goes straight to my bloody head. I'm starting to carry Sharpies around when I'm walking out in public, because I'm expecting to start signing bricks and stuff. Got to have my business cards on me at all times. This is under every shirt that I wear, so at any point I can whip it off and be like, yeah, that's me. But no, in all seriousness, the biggest thing that we get from markets is people to buy off. People who are like, I see what you're doing. It's great. Let me let me sell my parts to you, because I know that what you're doing is interesting, and I don't know why they're selling it to me versus anyone else, but they know me, so why not? And I get a good deal. So, and it's great because they already know before they even come to offer me the parts that I'm a reseller. I can't pay you what it's worth versus when I'm shopping on Facebook and stuff, and somebody says, "Oh, I've also got some minifigures. Are you interested in those?" And I'm like, yeah, of course. How much do you want for them? I'm like, well, I'll look them up on eBay, and I'm like, well, don't worry about it.
I think then there's definitely some thought to, if you're starting out, like, how are you going to get that first sale? Because unless you've got a big giant room of Lego to start selling from, which as we may have seen from last episode that I did not, what are you going to do? And so straight away I was like, okay, well, I need a sale so people know I'm an actual store and not just some random person on the site. So I did a 50% off voucher. I called it, didn't even know I could do vouchers. Still didn't really do a voucher properly for the first order, and got an order in the first day of putting stock up. And I had, I think, 1,000 parts, and I sold, I think, 20% of my store in the first day, which was probably not ideal, but cool. Now I've got an order. Okay, I'm not going to do that again, but what am I going to do next? Okay, I'm going to start making an Instagram account so that people in my local area know. I'm going to look for every single Lego Instagram page that's in my area, and I'll post on the local page that, oh, hey, we just started a store, love to follow people, which was slightly genuine and slightly not, because the second that I could follow them, I all of a sudden could build a personal connection with all these people who were in the local area. The nice thing about that is actually now I connected with a bunch of people that I know from selling to them who now regularly buy from me.
Yeah.
So like we talked about as well, and I know another question that we were looking at was, how many returning customers compared to new customers. I mean, I just don't track it. I just don't think it's something that's really needed. Like for me personally, like how many people are coming back versus not, because people are buying the parts that they need, and once they've bought them from your store. So I don't know if there's much value for us, at least, into trying to track that. But, we get returning customers because we make that connection. I'm a face. I'm not just a name on a website. People can click in our business cards, we give a link. And in my little drive-through message, I say, come and follow us on social media for behind-the-scenes look. Because the people that are wanting to do that behind-the-scenes look are generally the ones that are really interested in Lego. And, oh my goodness, oh, wow, there's a store. And then you get people saying, can I have a look? And they come in and they're like, oh, it's tiny. Looks much bigger on the videos. And I'm like, me or the store? And so, like, that's the really nice thing. All of a sudden there's that connection, and you're local. Oh, I can come pick up from you. And so I think that's really helped generate some really good orders. And again, you don't know, they're telling their friends and this person. And, there's a guy in our local Lego group that watched the vlogs, met him at a show, and now he's one of our sorters, so you just don't really know that whole process of networking, which is such a horrible word, of how much actually comes through. So
that was a good segue into returning customers and talking about how they contribute to our sales, and if they're important or not. I'm definitely in the agreement that, having your customers return is very important. We're sitting at 28% returning customers. I'm sure that a lot of those returning customers are only shopping just based on, I have what they need. But I'm sure a considerable amount of them are also, I buy off you, you sell me good parts, I'm just going to come to you instead. And I buy a lot of stuff on Bricklink, and I know some names. I know Tanya, or my go-to is always DD Bricks over in Thailand, and I know that they give me good stuff and they got a good deal. So I usually, before I even open my wanted list, I'll go to their store first and buy whatever I can from them. And I'll have a few stores like that. So I hope that my store is something like that for somebody else.
I think there's a feel-good factor about it.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's kind of a nice thing. Like, and as you said, once those buyers get into like the double figures, they're making an active choice, I think, to check whether you've got stuff first, second, third, but you're kind of on that favorites list, and that's great. And it, I've never done the numbers, but it feels like probably like 20 to 30% is probably about the right thing. But I think as the seller, it's just nice to think you did a good enough job last time, or you resolved, like even if you've had a problem with an order where you're missing a part, or you sort that out for them, and they come back, or they say, "Oh, I'll get it next." You missed I missed 2 pins in an order, and I would have shipped them. Yes, I would have lost money on that, but I would have shipped it. But the guy was like, "Oh, don't worry, I'll just leave a comment next time I place an order. I'll be doing that soon." I mean, that's kind of like, I guess it kind of is reassuring that you're getting it right in more than just the price department. You're getting it right in having the right stock, but also kind of getting it out in time, packaging it up nicely. The customer service piece that I think is the difference between a larger store like all of ours. Jason, at that 115,000 parts, that's a big store compared to others, and that requires a certain level of professionalism. And I think people expect a certain level of professionalism for that as well. I know I do. If the parts come wrapped in like somebody's fish finger box, taped up as bad as my mum wraps presents, where she's using an entire roll of sellotape for a pair of socks, you kind of just go, "What? This is not a pleasurable experience of unpacking it." So I think returning customers are good for your own sense of, I'm getting this right, as much as it's always good to have easy sales.
I think it's
sorry, you go.
I think it's important that if you're becoming a seller, you should be striving to have returning customers. You should be striving to have people leave positive feedback. And I know everyone talks about how we all dread the negative feedback, but it's not just because our percentage goes down. It's because, clearly that person wasn't happy with their transaction. Sure, there's a few customers out there that will just never be happy and you'll never be able to please them, or will leave negative or neutral feedback and in the comments say, "No problems, all good." And you just think, if there was no problems. But I think, if you're a seller, if you've made that active choice to become a seller, to sell to other people, why would you sell if you don't want to strive to be, good at what you do? Not necessarily perfection, but at least if you make a mistake, to have a system in place and a process in place that all customers are treated the same, and the same is at the utmost level. If you're not doing that, why bother?
And like the same thing with feedback as well. You can do that sort of anecdotally, like you're saying, with people posting, "Oh, I really like that," and you get a lot of people, or at least we seem to in New Zealand, say, "Oh, I'm going to shop again at this store." It's like, great, that's a good sign. But I always go with sort of that mantra of, I want to exceed the customer's expectations. So I mean, we say that bank transfer payments will clear within 2 days. Well, most bank transfer now are going within a couple of hours. So them seeing that tick paid logo, button, and then it's, "Oh, okay, I'm going to ship between 2 to 3 days." Well, most of my orders are getting out the following day if it's a weekday. So it's kind of, you set yourself a goal, or you're telling customers one thing, but if you're exceeding those expectations, then again, they're going to come back to you. Most people don't want to buy at least the pick a brick direct from Lego because of the length of time it takes. But I've bought from some BrickLink sellers, and it feels that way. And it's like, why am I wasting my time, especially if I was trying to buy like a replacement part for an order, when I could, that's ridiculous. Why would I buy from that person? Or one thing that's a bit of a pet peeve for me, or a gripe, is I know we like being all very environmentally friendly and things, but like sending a packet of Lego in like a cut up previously used bag, like it's just poor. I think it's just poor packaging. And I think, people are expecting a nicely packaged, bit of bubble wrap or whatever it is. But actually, that's why I make sure I've got my own packaging. Like I try and reuse my bags as much as possible, that from sets and things, but maybe that's because we don't do as many new sets. But I just find it quite tacky, and I'm trying to hit a certain standard of, this is what the customer's expecting. So those are some things to think about as well, because I think that helps bring in more return customers. If it's professional, there is kind of the maybe, overload of packaging. And we've gone too much and everything's branded and the bag's branded and stickers, and it's kind of like, okay, that was really nice, but is that, I ordered a bunch of bricks from you and you're sending me all of this. It's kind of like there's I think a good middle ground to reach with that.
I just want to go back to an earlier point about the social media stuff. Obviously, it's really good, and undoubtedly, you get comments on orders that people have watched the vlogs, they love the vlogs. People sometimes leave that in the feedback as well. There is the converse of that, which I know you kind of had a bit of, Noah, where someone then kind of tall poppy syndrome and reports your store for having something that they've spent time hunting for to report a store, which is crappy, and just don't do that, but it does have the ups and downs, doesn't it? Kind of, we've probably all had people go, yeah, but you're only doing it because you want to be famous or whatever. It's kind of like, well, no, it's just part and parcel of actually enjoying doing it, and it's a solitary existence on the whole, and I've kind of know I've got an army working for him, but you are the man running the place, and you are in charge of making those decisions. And when you get that negativity, it can kind of make you go, put you in a bad mood. It does me anyway.
No, definitely, I agree. The other thing is that putting yourself, now that my name is attached to the BrickShed, I mean, it was always attached to it, but now that my face is as well, and on Facebook, people just know my profile as through the BrickShed, that when I'm making posts or something on Facebook, or I'm responding to comments on listing, or I'm trying to buy something, we've had people now say, oh, don't sell to the BrickShed because they're going to pay you, nothing for it. And we are on the reverse side of that. We do, we have enough people who love us in the area and know me and Harrison and stuff, that oftentimes I'll get one comment like that, but then I'll get 10 all coming to say, you don't know what you're talking about. These guys are great. Which that definitely makes me feel great. But still, that comment came in, and maybe one person saw it and like, oh, the BrickShed, I'll stay away from them. Not necessarily that I'm sad that the sale's not going to come through, but that somebody out there is thinking, oh, the BrickShed's not a good, not trustworthy, not whatever. So yeah, I mean, there's pros and cons to it all. But I definitely contemplated not putting my face onto the YouTube channel, and I really was thinking, I'll just keep it as my voice, and they know my name's Noah. We don't need to deal with last names, and I can just stay. Everyone. If I meet somebody in person, a different story. But going out to a worldwide audience, maybe I just keep it by myself, or just keep it. They don't need to know. But I then thought, if I'm going to do the YouTube thing, if I'm going to do anything, why would I do it half-assed? I may as well just go all out and try to put all the effort into it. And there are some great YouTubers out there who remain, without their face on the channel. But I think that, if for videos like what we do, I think that having our face on it definitely adds some value because of the whole putting a face to the brand. I think that's definitely really, really valuable, as I said before.
Yeah, and I think if you want to get famous, there's much better ways to do it than a niche Bricklink YouTube channel.
Bloody hell.
I mean, if people are thinking that we're doing stuff because of that, like the time and effort that goes into it, like, again, that was another comment, wasn't it? Of like, is it worth your time? And well, what's the point of it? And we started doing it because it's, and I say we, me and a wee one, because it was a bit of fun. She sometimes walks around the house telling people to subscribe to Kiwi Brick Exchange, and I'm trying to get that out of it now, but it's like, it was a bit of fun, and I'm trying to explain to her, well, what's the point of this? And we're just showing people about our shop, and oh, that's exciting. And oh, look, I connected with this guy Richie from Perth because we figured out we watch each other's vlog, and then he's got a friend Noah, and all of a sudden you're making those connections, which is actually, it is the social media. Like, it's not just about putting up a video for people to click and watch and whoop-de-doo. It's like you connect with other people, and you find new ways of doing things, and you post comments and videos, and people post comments, and that's actually a good way of doing things. Or someone comments, have you thought about this? And I've gone, yes, I completely disagree. Or have you thought about this? And that's a great idea. And you kind of pick and choose what's going to work for you, and that's kind of the whole part of it. It's a personal thing, it's a fun thing, it's a business thing. But goodness me, there's no, if you were trying to do it like a time that's spent putting the effort into vlogs and videos and recording and monetary value, there are much better ways of making money than doing that. So I think, there's anyone that's sort of out there and thinking it's all just for the, look at me. I think having watched both of your vlogs, and I feel like with my own, that's the last thing that we're trying to push at all.
Yeah. I'm going to ask a question on feedback then, because it always comes up in different forums and threads, and it always just blows my mind. When do you leave feedback on purchases?
I've bought something, or
No,
is it somebody's bought from me?
Bought from you.
Instantaneously. I mean, it just gets left automatic. I just have automatic feedback on, and as soon as it's shipped, as soon as the order gets marked as shipped, the feedback goes out.
Interesting. I do something completely different. I only post feedback once the other person has posted feedback. However, in my message going out to the customer, I say, when you've received it, please post the feedback. And that's maybe just with a few sellers over here that have been stung with posting feedback. Someone's had an issue, posted negative feedback, and there's nothing they can do to unravel that. So I'm just you post the feedback and I'll post feedback type thing. Or if someone reaches out and says thank you, or I notice it's received, like I just kind of do that. But I'm quite, if it's somebody that I know has ordered from me before, I'll just go through down the order. But I've got a number that are just sitting there. They haven't been received or whatever it is. So I haven't posted the feedback. And maybe that's just a precautionary thing, but that's what we've sort of done from the start. And if someone tells me, I had one person once say, you haven't posted feedback. And I'm, sorry, I post feedback now.
Richie?
I do it the minute it ships, but I didn't know you could do it automatically unless that's a Bricker thing, is it?
You can do, I had an automatic feedback set through Brick Freedom. You can do it through Brick Freedom.
Okay. And you can respond to negative feedback.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Yeah.
It's a bit of a pain in the ass to get to it, but because you have to go into your own profile and then down to the bottom of that screen and reply as, but you can, if someone does leave you negative or neutral, you can put a line underneath that feedback that explains the circumstance.
And then if a customer is looking at your feedback, that line is always there, and they'll see, your response to them leaving feedback. The other thing is you can do, if the transaction ended up going badly, you can submit a feedback removal request, and you can remove your own feedback and resubmit feedback. Obviously, Bricklink won't take it very lightly if the reason why you're submitting feedback is just to submit negative feedback because they submitted negative feedback. I wouldn't think that is why you would do that. But I know that there are people out there who will just be like, you've left me negative feedback, so I'm going to leave you negative feedback. As long as it's a good reason and the transaction ended up being like their negative feedback was actually, uncalled for, and it wasn't, you can remove your feedback. It's just a process. It's just a thing. The only time that I stray away from the automatic feedback, which I can manually change that if I don't mark the order as shipped, but if I see a person, like I've got a list of customers that I know are problematic. Trying to use my words carefully there, and sometimes for those customers, what I can do is I can mark it as shipped, and before Bricker or my automatic feedback recognizes that the order's been shipped, before it recognizes the shipped icon, I just change it back to packed or something. But I'll send the buyer a message saying the order has been shipped, and oftentimes the customer is not looking at that tagline. They don't see that it's not marked as shipped anymore. There's a tracking number, it's on the way. And then I can wait. I've only done that for 2 or 3 customers. one being, I mean, I'll just, the Bo has been that name gets tossed around a lot in Australia. And otherwise a couple of other people, but I just leave feedback. Then I don't need to worry about it. Also, it's automated. I don't want to have to deal with. I don't like leaving feedback on orders that I get shipped because I forget about it because I never have to deal with feedback. So, and I use the reply to feedback a lot. So if somebody, I haven't got any negative feedback on the store at the moment, but I've got several neutrals, and most of them are saying that there was something wrong with the order, but they never reached out. So that's usually my reply is just apologies, customer never reached out, or something along those lines. So then when a new customer is reading that, they can see, oh, okay, so this person didn't even let them know that there was an issue. So yeah.
I suppose that segues perfectly to another question that we had, which is around resolving unhappy customers, or how common scammers are. And I guess every situation is completely different. As a general rule, if I have missed a part or sent the wrong part, I will correct it and have them send the part back unless it's really small value or something like that. Two reasons for that. One, I think kind of they purchased what they wanted to get and didn't get it, so it's my responsibility. But also, if you've made a bad mistake, say, it's amazing how many times people want to pay for that part that they say was incorrect so they can keep it.
Right. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
So you're saying if you've sent an incorrect part, or they're claiming it's a different part.
Could you give us an example of a specific part?
There was one. I think there was some. Oh, was it a curved wedge or something like that? And I'd sent two lefts rather than a left and a right. So I said no problem, and it was like a $3 part or something. Like one of those kind of. I don't know what it's officially called anyway. And I said, no problem. I'll ship the replacement part with a return envelope for the incorrect part, because it's a $3 part, right? So even breaking even kind of thing. And it's not the first time it's happened, but they were like, oh, actually, I might keep this part as well. Could you send me an invoice for it? Now, I'm sure that's just a case of you've got the part or whatnot, but I do think there is a lot of grey areas at the moment around people trying to try it on, shall we say, occasionally.
I'm always a bit cautious with like new buyers as well, and particularly it seems, and no throwing shade on Australia here, but on Australian buyers, because that international shipping isn't coming back to New Zealand. So I'm always like double checking, and if it's a big minifigure lot, which we occasionally do get, seems to be to Australia, it's taking photos of everything. So if they say, oh, I didn't get the correct one, it's no, yes, you have. Maybe, touch wood that it hasn't happened to us, but I haven't had any issues so far with an order that, claiming that I did something or I didn't. Most of the time I'm just trusting the buyer and then saying, yep, that's cool, I'll refund the part, or we'll send replacements. And as I said, occasionally I send the wrong parcel to the wrong people. And it seems to be, for me, most of the times when I muck up an order is generally when I've tried to get one ready for pickup. And so the customer goes, no, you did this. I was like, all right, I'll see you tomorrow. So it's quite an easy solution. And that way it kind of, again, maybe helps with that. That could be sort of more the New Zealand market. We don't really seem to have people going on BrickLink to try and do any sort of scams or issues. I know there's a heap of things if we were trying to buy, and that's probably the only one where I've had a real bad experience was when we tried to buy a couple of sets on Marketplace. The person had a good feedback, bought a set, turned up fine. They had a couple more sets, bought those couple, and disappeared. Never heard from them again. It's probably about $100, $150. And so now I just go, and again, that was the early days. Now I just go, well, I'm not going to buy unless I can visually see and inspect. But even, like good feedback, like bought a cheap set to test out type thing. It's interesting how much that happens. So and I think that's a good thing for actually us, is, BrickLink's kind of got that safety net for people, as there's so many little things going around on Marketplace and things that, okay, yep, there's a good safe net So someone's a bit, confused about me sending a set. I go, oh, well, here's my link to my Brick link. If you'd like to buy it through there, I can send it through there. And it does kind of cover a few things that way.
Yeah. Well, we have, because I have people processing who do customer service for me now. So our contractors who pick orders, they do the whole process, which was scary at the start, but we've been doing it for a while now this way, and it's working fine. We haven't seen too many issues, but it was scary to completely remove myself from the equation. So orders get packed, shipped, and sometimes messages get sent, and I don't know about it, and they process refunds and they send messages when there's a part missing from an order, or they respond to messages when they come through if I don't get to them first. But we have a process in depending on the situation that comes through, whether it's a part that's missing from our inventory and we can't ship, we don't have it. I know a lot of sellers will buy that part from another store to have it shipped to them if they don't have it. We don't do that. We used to. I've done it occasionally, every now and then, on the odd part, especially if somebody's bought a minifigure off me and the head is got a nick on the back, or actually the other day, an example that happened is I uploaded a bunch of brand new Chima figures, so I got a lot in, and all the figures were just disassembled and in bags, and the person who I bought it off, I can see that it's brand new, the way that the arms are twisted and stuff. And I confirmed with the seller, and they said, yeah, all of those figures were just taken out of sets and put them in bags, and I chucked them in a drawer. So I went through the bags, but I didn't open every bag. So I had a figure that I sent out, and the head was missing from the bag. So in that specific circumstance, I just shipped the head. I just ordered a head from Brick's warehouse, actually, and had it shipped to sorry, Richie, and had it shipped to them. They were the cheapest. I'm sorry. So other than that, I haven't ordered from another seller to fix up a part. The other thing is, typically right now we don't, but most of the time we have used bulk that is semi-sorted. So the process is, if you're missing a used part that's common, you go to the wall and you find it. If it's taking more than 2 minutes to locate the part, we move on. Then in regards to refunds, a full refund for the part rounded up to the nearest dollar. So if the part's worth 5 cents, you're getting $1. See, I'm scared that people are now going to abuse this situation. see, putting this out there, right? Putting it all out there. So, but this is our process. So it gets rounded to the nearest dollar. We don't refund anything else. We don't refund shipping or anything, except if the mistake is a considerable percentage of the order, whether it's value or size. So if somebody's ordered 3 parts from me and one of those parts are missing, then they're getting half their shipping refunded as well, because it's 33% of their order is missing. Usually, if it's also that big, I'm sending them a message prior before I do anything. I say, hey, look, this part's missing. I'm happy to cancel the order. But otherwise, if it's not a considerable piece, monetary wise or size wise, in their order, I'm not sending them a preemptive message. I am sending them a message to let them know that I'm sending a refund, but I'm not waiting for them to confirm that it's all good, because I get that every now and then somebody places an order for 30 parts and they came here for just that one part, and it would be really, really unlucky if that one part was the one that was missing. If that happens and the customer reaches out to me again saying, hey, look, I only came here for that part. I didn't really want, the other parts were just an addition. I say, okay, I'm sorry for that. And I might refund half their shipping as well, if they come back to me, but that has happened maybe once or twice. And then coming on to the whole scammers and dodgy refund requests, and when people send me messages about parts that they received that either were missing or weren't satisfactory to their needs. Pictures are always, pretty much always asked for if the part is over a certain threshold. $10 to $20. That's really, I'll ask for pictures. Some people are really good and they just send pictures straight away, which I really appreciate, because then there's no even, little voice in my head saying, oh, I'm pretty sure those parts were right. Nah, there's the pictures. Whether they swap those parts out and are just sending me, like, they had damaged parts, they ordered the replacement ones and they just wanted a refund for those parts and they sent me a picture of their damaged parts. Whether that happens, oh well. I feel, based on majority of the refunds that I send, I can't see how somebody would be doing it unless it was just for the thrill of getting away with it, because 95% of my refunds are under $2, under $3. And in that circumstance, somebody sends me a message and say, I'm really sorry. I send them a refund for the part, and I usually put a coupon in their account as well for 5 to 10%, depending on how bad of a incident it was. So if it was one part out of 1,000, I'm sending them a 5% coupon. If it was one part out of 10, maybe I'm sending them 10% coupon. So I don't see, I don't worry about people messaging me and it's going to be a scam. Obviously, we have our process in place where if it's of a certain threshold, whether it's over $10, over $20, or if it's a minifigure. If it's a minifigure, we deal with it differently because of, I have checked that minifigure. There are no minifigures on the store that I haven't checked personally. So it's more personal to me, I suppose. It's more of like, oh, well, you're digging into my skills there, I guess. So we'll have to go through the process, but it's not typically a minifigure. It's usually just a used part, and we are dealing with so many used parts. We try to pick up everything, but I'm sure I'm sending out parts that slip by us. So whether people are taking advantage of that and to get $2, well, they get $2.
I think a good way to check that as well is how many of your orders are actually errors or needing to be refunded.
Yeah, exactly.
To be really honest, maybe 2 or 3% max for me.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, I can probably count 15, 20 orders since we started where I've had to do something significant. If that's the case, I've got a record of that person reaching out. Okay, if they've ordered from my store multiple times, have they done that every time?
Yeah.
If they have, and there's every time I'm making an issue for their order, that's a little bit more than a coincidence. That's like, okay, let's double check this, and I think there's one person that maybe I've done 2 muck-ups, and it was just simple as making, refund the part. But I think the best way is preempting, like you're saying, reaching out, personal touch. Hey, I've noticed this is an issue, or like sometimes I've got a part as well that's not in stock that I thought was supposed to be there. Straight away, hey, what's your bank account details? I'll refund the part with like a voucher. So it's kind of like you're telling them straight away, I'm going to do that. Not what would you like to do type thing. But I also give options, and I say to people, if it's someone who's ordered from me regularly, hey, we don't have this in stock. Would you like it to hold as a credit for the next time, or would you like to do it as a voucher? Like there's ways you can go about it. There's so many different methods for that, but preempting that, hey, I don't have it, or thanks for reaching out. You've noticed that's an issue. I'll send it to you. I do get a couple of sellers every so often that seem to buy from me when they've made a mistake, which sure, I'm happy with that. It's another sale. And the only thing that's a little bit maybe concerning about that is if you've got the shipping to that address. Well, what if that person says it never arrived, and that's sort of maybe a slight grey area. Thankfully, nothing's happened as an issue so far, but that kind of what was the customer actually supposed to receive? I don't think it's too much of an issue over here, at least anyway. But it's something just to be aware of. I think for people try things and just be a bit vigilant, and should be okay. Next question that I saw was, how do we decide if a used incomplete set is worth sourcing the missing parts to complete and then sell? My answer is it's never worth it. No, I'm joking. I don't have any sets, so I can't really answer that question. I just put them into parts in a big bulk lot and split them out once I've taken the minifigs. Noah, do you have a point where it's sold for parts or complete?
Yeah. So Well, we do use sets, of course. When we first started, we tried to complete every bloody set that we could, whether it was City, Friends, didn't matter what it was. If it was there, we were completing it, and we went out of our way to do it like stupidly. Like we would be spending, for half of the value of the set to complete it, and that was just because that was the market that we were in, and we were only doing sets. That was before we started our parts selling. Now it's more based on what we need at the time. If we're going to do a market in a month and we don't have many sets, then we'll probably be more lenient about the sets that we're completing. The other thing is, it's about what we're getting in and why we're buying the sets in the first place. So if we've bought a lot from somebody and we're buying, and they've got used sets in there as well as bulk, as well as figures, because that's usually what it is. It's usually a mix. It's not usually I'm just buying one set off somebody. It's usually I'm trying to buy in bulk. That's how we make our money. So how that works out is when I'm buying it before it's even we're at the stage of trying to think about selling. It's about, why am I buying this? And if I'm buying this set to complete it, then I'm taking that into consideration when how much I'm paying for it. But if I'm going to just be selling the figs and putting the parts in bulk, then I'm paying a different rate for it. So it's why I bought the set in the first place. Whether then that set sits on my shelf for 2 years and I come back to it and it's still sitting there and I decide to do something else with it, then whatever. But we try to process things as quickly as possible. So having the reason why we bought the set and it going to that purpose is very important. But yeah, if it's missing figures, it's just out. There's no point. Figures are a considerable amount of the set. Maybe if it's a large city set, different story. We are completing cheap sets now just because of the amount of markets we're doing, and we're attempting to sell to a wider audience of people because we want to sell to the kids and the mums and stuff who aren't collectors. So they want to buy city sets. Now, because we're spending more money on completing those sets, yes, the sets are more expensive than they are on Bricklink. And that's just because the set is, a city set with 5 figures might be $20. It's just like, why would I sell a city set with 5 figures, even though I don't sell city figures, but I'll sell the parts. So if I am completing a city set, for example, I'm also adjusting the way I sell it. So like, I don't even look at the last 6 months value or the selling or what's currently available for that set. It's usually when I'm pricing a city set, it's how many figures are in the set, and then I'm pricing it based on that, because I know that a kid is going to look at a Star Wars set, a city set, and whatever, and a Ninjago set, all with 5 figures, and the Star Wars set is going to be $300. And the city set is going to be $20, and the Ninjago set is whatever, $50. I know that city set I can put up a little bit more, and they're still going to buy it because it's like, 5 figures, that's a big set. The other thing is, I'm not putting up that price just because I'm greedy and I want the money. It's because the amount of effort that goes into completing our sets. If we were pricing it exactly what that set's worth, it wouldn't be worth it to do half the sets that we complete, because we spend so much money. Well, I can tell you. So we spend minimum 15% of the set's value goes to our inventory specialist. So if the set's worth $100, $15 straight away to that person to inventory it. Then the cost of buying parts to complete that set. Luckily, we have a great parts inventory, so typically we get majority of them from ourselves. But we're not going to have the stickered parts half the time. Usually we have to buy sticker sheets because it's cheaper to buy a sticker sheet than it is to buy 5 stickered parts. If a minifigure is damaged, then we have to pay, buy that. Then it's the packaging. We package them all in nice cellophane bags, and then it's the cost of doing the market, because we don't sell typically many sets on Bricklink. We are moving all of our sets over to eBay, so fingers crossed that does well. But selling at a market costs a lot of money. I want to know where you're selling Jason, $20 a bloody market.
Oh, it's because
How
no one
much-
turns up as well. But you know,
I
like,
mean, true. Yeah. I guess
a specific Lego market over here is a little bit different. That's
Yeah,
we're not going to go for.
of course. But for example, BrickVention cost us over 1,300 Australian dollars to sell it for just two tables. Yes, it's the biggest Lego convention in the Southern Hemisphere, and yes, there is a lot of people, and yes, we made a lot of money, but still, there's always the what if. We might not make that money. I've spent that money to sell there. If we don't do well, we don't do well. That doesn't mean my $1,300 goes down. So typically, we're looking at spending 5 to 10% of our income, of our sales income at a market on the market itself. That's where we want to be. We don't want to be anywhere over 10%, as close to 5% as we can. 10%, okay, we can deal with that. But it's the way we look at it is it's like, okay, we're giving a 10% discount on all of our sets. That's how we look at it. But it comes back to, why did I buy the set in the first place? If I bought it to complete it, then I paid knowing that I'm going to complete it. And we have bought sets that are missing figures, and it just gets taken into account into the value of the purchase and how much I'm offering. But typically, yeah, missing figures, missing sticker parts. Now, if it's missing instructions, I usually don't even offer a price because I want to complete it with instructions, and I don't want to have to purchase instructions because that means I'm paying $11 usually for postage. So that's the general consensus. No figures, no instructions, no sticker parts. See you later.
All right, rapid fire round before we wrap up. Who would like to start? I can read out the question.
Yeah. Hit us.
So, 30 seconds or less. Richie, go first. An update to your store that has saved you time and money. Go, 30 seconds on the clock.
Sorting minifigures by theme.
Very good. Noah.
Barcodes. That's one word.
Me. Finding other people to sort the Lego for you.
Yes, child
Time and
labor.
money.
Woo!
Very good. Yes. There we go. 30 seconds, lads. Okay, round 2 of rapid fire in 30 seconds. I'll start, and the question is the most interesting piece you have found recently and the value. And I found 4 tiny little flowers when I sorted nature. 4 of them in white, $5.50 each.
Are they old? Is that why they're worth so
Must
much?
have been. They look nice and new to me.
They come
But,
in
yeah.
Belleville and Belleville sets actually.
Yeah, and I think there was a Belleville set somewhere. So that's just from bulk that's been squished together. But yeah,
I know.
$5.50 each almost blew my mind. So yes. Noah, most interesting piece. There you go. Already
This
mentioned.
sticker sheet that I found in bulk today, $100. Beautiful. I'll sell it for a little less because there is a couple of imperfections on it, but $100. Very, very happy with this SpongeBob sticker sheet.
Richie.
I don't really find
So you don't do
pieces
bulk.
like that. I don't do that, do I? What I will
Yes,
say,
break.
totally different kind of angle on it. Currently, there is a real shortage of basic parts at volume.
Mm.
So the values of those are going to increase exponentially, I would say, because there's just none anywhere. And if you think about the sets that are coming out, they're not like light blue gray 2x4 plate, for instance. If you needed to get 500 or more of those for a mock, you're going to have to go to Lego and pay way over the Bricklink price because there's no sets coming out with that kind of volume of part within it anymore to create decent quantities of part outs. So the values are going to, you heard it here first, get your money on it. They're going up.
Can I want to ask your opinion then. I have 40 kilos of basic bricks and plates that are ready to list. Do you think that I should wait?
2 months.
2 months.
You're literally like, having done it yesterday, you're looking around at kind of grey slopes and things like that. Obviously, we're going into kind of convention times and things like that where people are doing builds and things like that. But if you needed to get over 100 kind of basic slopey things, you're struggling to get them. They're going, and there isn't sets bringing them out to add volume. So you're either going to have to pay an increasing amount direct from Lego, or you're going to have to go to someone who's got 400 kilos of used to be sorted. Another podcast done and dusted. Hope you've enjoyed it. We will be back again, as I said at the top of the show, to answer any more questions or just talk randomly about stuff that's bugging us. And we will continue to get updates on the tires. We're looking forward to people ordering their free tires. And we'll find out whether or not Jason gets evicted from his house when his missus and little one comes back and finds that they can't actually get in. But until next time, don't forget to like, subscribe, and tell all of your fellow Lego builders that this is the podcast to watch.
Fantastic.
Thanks, Leg.
Thanks, guys. See ya.